Build shows on the road today. We are in Birmingham, Alabama on an affordable construction site. This is gonna be a 1,400 square foot single family home built with SIPS construction. And we're gonna show you on this video how they're building these houses extremely affordable, extremely fast, and with some crazy good high performance, which of course you and I both nerd out on. Today's build show is sponsored by Extreme Panel Technologies. Let's get going. All right, y'all, I got with me Perry. You probably met Perry on previous videos. He's the head sales guy, but really understands this entire process. Perry, we're at an affordable build. This is a 1,400 square foot house. And these guys are telling me, Josh, the builder back here, says we're gonna have this thing weathered in, dried in like 2 days. Can we explain the system to these guys?
Sure.
Let's start with that.
Sure. So what we've got here is we've got an off-site build, but yet we're on-site, okay?
Yep.
And what we've done is we've taken 3 panels here for this wall and we've put them together. So these panels actually got prepped in a factory yesterday, and we had all the things that need to get done to make it a ready assemble out here right now, but it's gonna make this look really easy, right?
Yep.
So basically we have 3 pieces that have all been put together to make this gable end. We even have a doorway with a header in it with a column coming down, and we're gonna take this whole wall, which was 3 separate pieces, and we're gonna make it look like it's one.
So this is a 24-foot wide building.
24
These are 8-foot sections,
Correct.
3 of them together, so that's what gives our 24 feet. These are your 4-inch, your smallest panel size. This is an affordable house.
Yep.
So we've got, what, 3.5 inches of EPS foam?
Correct, 3 5/8 inches of foam, and we've got 2 layers of 7/16. Basically, it's half inch.
Okay.
But it's zinc borate treated OSB. So another thing in the climate for termites and mold, the zinc and the borate are helping with all those elements that we have.
Gotcha.
And we're going to get rain on every job site, so it's going to get wet, but you can't worry about it with the treated OSB.
So then the bottom plate goes down, and this has some Simpson Titan HDs, it looks like.
Yes. So
double bottom plate design, so
Correct.
2x6 pressure treated, 2x4 bottom plate, I guess we would call it.
Yep. So we call it the sill plate, a treated sill plate on the bottom. That's the width of the wall.
Okay.
And then we've glued and we've legged these down with those lag screws.
Yep.
And we know that plate's not coming up because we have it engineered, designed, and made for that.
And then Josh put this bead of SIP seal adhesive sealant, which is going to stop airflow through there, right?
Correct. We're creating gaskets with every bead of the SIP seal that we put down, and that is the one thing we're doing during construction that we really can't calculate. But that SIP seal is really strong. It's adhesive, but it stays pliable and creating the air sealing for the whole building.
Gotcha.
And that's really the key. That's what SIPs are known for is, hey, the energy efficiency, but the air sealing. We're literally building an airtight house.
Got it.
And that's the beauty of it. So
That's
this whole
fantastic.
wall, we've got very little lumber. You've got lumber in the corners, around your windows, a header there for a ridge beam.
Yep.
But other than that, that is a solid wall of foam. So we're talking like a 3 to 4% framing factor in that wall, which
low.
is it's continuous insulation everywhere.
It's basically continuous insulation.
Right.
Let's pause for a second, let these guys lift this wall, and then we'll pick it right back up. All right, so Josh put these screws in, which just sucked these panels right together, didn't they, Perry?
Yes. And by putting the SIP seal in, we have created that solid, there's no air getting through there.
Yeah.
And now we've tied this corner together, and you're starting at a corner when you start with SIPs. That's where you're gonna naturally go one way or the other.
Yep.
But we have created a really strong corner that you can't move. You physically can't move that corner right now.
That's pretty amazing.
And And for hurricanes, tornadoes, this type of corner, it's different than your standard frame because your frame is going to take the load, but our shear is what we're dealing with right here. And by having the sheathing on the inside, the outside of the panel, plus the foam is actually a shear. It helps with all that. And then
is there some benefit to your insurance rates when you build an extreme panel house, especially down here in the South on the Gulf Coast?
You know, and we just had a customer call just the other day. He built right on the ocean in Biloxi, Mississippi, and his insurance, he got a gold fortified rating.
Yep.
And he said that it's costing him like a lot less from his neighbors right next door. Like his homeowner's premium's like $6,000. The neighbors are like 29 grand.
Wow.
So because he had that gold fortified status,
$20,000 savings.
I mean, that's a year. And that's just because he built a super SIP structure.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And Extreme, we designed that whole thing for that exact area.
Yeah.
And in that house, we had some panel screws that were 3 to 5 inches on center, just in showing you what we just did. So, I mean, we have so many more points that are connecting our roof to our walls and our wall to our wall.
Right.
So
now, we weren't talking when they were doing it, but I can see these nails right here.
Yes.
Which are nailing that spline
Correct.
in that's in there, that 2x4 spline.
Right.
So this is a 2x4 spline as well that's been nailed in, and then this screw is sucking into that spline.
Yes.
Talk to me about that connection and how that's done.
So that whole connection, that lumber that's within the panel on the left there, so we have a nail every 6 inches, and it's a 2-inch ring shank nail with a full head, and we've watched how it's going into the OSB, so we don't want it going in too deep. But that ring shank nail, you can't pull it out. I mean, it's in. And then we glue, of course, that gets glued in, and then making that marriage of that panel to that panel, it'll never, to tear that apart is really hard.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
No.
That's really impressive. Let's talk about speed for a minute, Perry. You know, these guys, Josh the builder was telling me that he thinks he's going to have this thing weather tight in 2 days, from foundation to weather tight in 2 days.
Right.
Now, it's not a
Plus
huge house.
insulated, Matt.
Plus insulated, that's true.
And vapor barriered.
And basically ready for trades, right?
Right. And I mean, this style of house would be a couple weeks to get it to that level with the framing, the insulation, the vapor barrier. We're doing it in a matter of days, and
that's
it's just
crazy.
And this is their third house, and they've gotten really good at it in literally their third one. So the learning curve was there, but we came in and we trained them, and they caught right on, and it was really a lot of fun.
Perry, can you give us any idea on rough cost for this package? You know, this is a pretty affordable house, 1,400 square feet plus a big porch. Can you give us some idea of what to expect?
The actual SIP package from Extreme Panel, we're looking at probably the $50,000 range for this wall and roof system, the beam system. We're right in that.
So basically, your entire shell on this house was around $40 a square foot.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right.
That's pretty impressive, which means you can build a house pretty dang affordably.
Right.
If that's your entire shell, and it's to this level of strength and efficiency and insulation levels. Now, this is a smaller wall than some, though. This is a 4-inch wall. You can go 6, 8.
You know, being
bigger.
northern based like we are with Extreme, we're used to a 6 or an 8-inch wall to give us more R value. But here we can do it, and with the performance path, we can prove that the house is going to do what it needs to do. And we'll get into that when we talk about HVAC and how small this load is.
Yeah.
But all of those factors make it so that it's a complete kit.
Yep.
And it really just helps the time of everything.
Yeah. Let's let these guys get back to work on this exact build that we've got going on here. But I want to transition and show you the house next door, which actually is the exact same house, but in the next step further in construction. So we can kind of show you what you're going to get when the shell is complete. So let's meet you over there. Oh man, look at this.
Pretty cool space, isn't it?
Yeah, you can see it now. So 8-foot ceilings, but we got a vault. We're stepping into kind of like a living room, family room space.
Right.
Which doesn't feel small at all because you got this 8-foot ceiling.
Everybody thinks you need 9 or 10-foot walls, but in this case, we're opening it up so much, creating, you know, that flow into the kitchen, and it's really a nice space. And that vault it just opens up your mind when you walk in here. Like, wow, it's a wow factor when you walk in.
I like it. When you walk in, we're seeing all of your panels here.
Correct.
But then this is just traditional interior framing that we're seeing, just
and
2x4s.
And all this was made off site, so we, just like the panels, we brought it in on a trailer. And
It didn't come from Extreme
it
Panel.
did not come from us. It was Navigate who put all that together in their factory.
Got it.
And yeah.
Man, this is really cool to see. We can also start to see a little bit of what's happening with electrical in here, because you've got some chases running around the building. So the electrician took a plug out and was able to run wiring side to side.
Right.
And even like these lights that are in the ceiling here, there was a chase right here above us.
Right.
It looks like he cut a couple holes right there and ran those up.
Right. So the whole thing is people get a little confused. An electrician walks in here and sees a wall of sheathing, and they're like, what do I do? This is going to cost me twice as much. They get into it and they understand that all these red lines mean that's where a chase is. So we've got a line coming up, a vertical chase going all the way up there. We've got a horizontal chase right here. We've got one down here also. They're all marked on the edges of the panel, and it gives them the raceways that they need. And in this case, we only needed 2 chases in the whole entire roof, because the attic area, which isn't an attic, it's open space, it's all framing in there. So we put 2 chases in and eliminated all the other chases in the whole roof system. That's
pretty neat. And then I'm seeing this gray SIP seal in the corner.
Yeah.
We saw that next door in the house under construction.
Yeah.
It was kind of in that spline area. And then you've just put a second bead on here, just as a belt and suspenders, I'm assuming, right?
Vapor barrier in this climate, we got to worry about vapor from the outside getting in because it's saturated. But it's just as important on the inside. And normally we'd put a vapor tape in there, but we like using the SIP seal product. We did it in the joint already, but now we're adding a whole nother layer so we know that air can't get through.
Yeah, and then where the electrician has drilled, I'm assuming we'll just use some canned foam in those areas.
All those chases will get filled, and then you can actually put the plug right back in, put some expandable foam in there, and put some lumber over it, and in the next day it's fine.
That's awesome.
Sheetrock right over it.
The other thing I really like about this particular design that's very resilient from the get-go is we've got a 2-foot overhang, it looks like, or maybe 18-inch overhang.
Right.
Over all these windows. We've got this giant front porch. So everything has built-in forgiveness on this house.
Correct. And the design, we went with a window that didn't need a header.
Yep.
So the only headers that we have are underneath the ridge beam. So there's 2 headers in this entire house.
Wow.
Which is just really, really cool.
That's amazing.
And just taking that framing out of the outside envelope and creating the continuous insulation.
So this is something that I think is one of the coolest things about this house, is the way that it's being heated and cooled. So this is 1,400 square feet.
Yeah.
And you've got a 2-head mini split system tied to a single compressor outside. In this main space, we've got 1 head on the wall that will obviously heat and cool this main space, no problem. I'm seeing 2 transfer grills right there, and then all this framing that's giving us an 8-foot ceiling means I've got a big conditioned attic space above us, right?
Everything's conditioned, so we don't need to insulate it because it's within the conditioned space.
That's really cool.
And we're actually going to cool that area or heat the area and draw that down into the rooms. So it's really cool. We're doing this with 18,000 BTUs, a ton and a half, which is nothing. This would normally be double or triple that, with this size house in this area.
That's not bad at all.
So yeah,
that's amazing.
Ton and a half unit. It's just
so
really
above
cool.
us, above this platform on our heads, there will be a mini split hung on the wall up there.
Correct.
That will basically heat and cool the attic space. And then this ductwork that you're seeing here that runs on both sides of the house, for lack of a better term, is connected to a, I don't know, 100-something CFM fan.
Yeah, that's gonna pull air through it.
That's
just
basically
really cool.
gonna take air from that air-conditioned attic and dump it down into these bedrooms. And then there's these transfer grills, like this big black grill above our head, that take it up. And then the other thing I really like about this, because this is a affordable house, but also a very high performance house, we need to bring some fresh air in. So up in the attic, there's a dehumidifier that has a damper that can bring a little bit of fresh air through the dehumidifier, and can also make sure that the air inside this house is dehumidified. We're in Alabama, it's hot and humid. We want that dehumidifier to help take the humidity out when we may or may not need cooling. Right,
and that's exactly the point. I mean, we have to deal with that humidity. When we could short cycle the air conditioner and you're never going to dehumidify.
Yep.
So having that backup system is, to me, awesome for this area.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now here's a stat that's gonna blow your mind. This house that we're in now at this stage, we were in the slab phase, starting the SIPs 9 days ago. No, I'm sorry, 9 business days.
9 business days, and they've been working on 2 other houses in the meantime.
That's
so
crazy.
It's just literally 2 days for the SIPs was 1 day in the factory, getting everything ready and ready for the lifting time. 1 day on site, and this thing's up. The next day, the interior walls all in because they were sitting here waiting to go, and just speed. 3 days, we have an envelope. They put the front door in and locked it in the day 4.
Oh my gosh,
So,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Super, super fast. Now that you've gotten a quick tour over here, let's get back to the house under construction. So we are just about to fly some roof panels. By the way, we've been on site for 2 hours and we are ready to fly roof panels over there. That's pretty
Good day.
awesome.
It's
Meet
awesome.
you back over there. All right, we're flying the first roof panel on. Perry, explain to me what's going on with the 2x that are attached to that panel.
Sure. So what they've done is they've taken a 2x up the eave or up the gable end, and
Yep.
they actually set it so that they know that when they set that panel, the overhang is perfect. And then at the bottom, down to the eave, we set a block there, so that's going to catch the inside of the wall, so that when they set that panel, it'll slide down and it'll catch it, and it's in the perfect exact spot that it needs to be.
Got it.
And then all of the splines, the connector from panel to panel, have been positioned at the right side so that when they lift these panels and bring them into place, they can hook on the edge of the OSB instead of hooking onto the spline. Everything that we've done is about ease of putting it together. So all that pre-planning will show today, because within hours this roof will be on.
That's fantastic. So just to give you a gauge on the clock, we started filming at 8. They put the gable wall up, they put this wall up, they put the bridge beam on. It is 10:15. It's been 2 hours and 15 minutes. We're setting the first roof panel. Let's get going. Perry, let's check a little time here. 12:30, and this much is done.
Yeah.
What do we got? Like 6 panels left?
We got
5
six-
panels left?
6 panels, 6 out of 18 panels. So
Holy
yeah,
cow.
the guys are they're killing it.
They're
And
flying.
you know, really, this is their 3rd house.
Yep.
They didn't know how to put these up 2 weeks ago, and now they're on their own. They're
Yeah.
doing this by themselves.
And I've seen your jobs before. You guys are really good about sending out every part, piece,
Right.
screw.
Yep.
You included caulking gun. I'm assuming all those big fat daddy screws that they're using, that was part of their package,
You're
right?
not just going to go to the local hardware store and pick that up. So we have everything there. So it's just done. It's all inclusive,
Yeah.
and it just makes time go faster.
Makes
It
perfect
makes
sense.
everything happen.
So I suspect if there's builders watching this or frame carpenters, that there might be a little bit of trepidation. Like, I don't know. I mean, sure, they're putting it together fast, but I've never done it before.
Right.
I'm a little concerned.
Yep.
What has Extreme Panel done to help those guys out?
We've taken really our best builders, the guys that work with us all the time. Some of them have been with us for 25 years, and we've got a list of these guys that they know what they're doing. They can put up panels in a heartbeat in their sleep, and we've made a training and assistance program, and we're trying to get it so that we can get a trained builder to train a crew that's never touched a panel before.
And Nathan, who's on site, is
Yeah.
one of those guys for you who's
Yes.
really training this local crew
Correct.
to be able to do this time and time again here, right?
Yeah.
I think Nathan's in the house. Let's go
Yeah,
see if we
let's
can
go
find
see.
him. Yo, Nathan, you in here? Hey, there he is. Little
Nate.
lunch break. It's been hot out there, man.
Hey, man.
So Nathan, where are you out of? Where are you based?
Northwest Iowa, Ocheeden to be exact.
And how long have you worked with Extreme Panel now?
It's coming on my 7th year.
Okay, good deal. And so Perry linked you up with these guys to get them trained and to help them really feel like they got the system dialed, right?
Yep, definitely. I came down here last year to help on the 2 houses we built for them last year. Trained that crew, and then now I got asked to come down again, train a whole completely new crew, and yeah, they were great guys to work with.
That's fantastic. Is that hard for you to travel though? I mean, you're not here for weeks at a time though, right?
No.
You're just here for a couple days.
No, we're just coming for a couple of days, and just, these houses are fairly, easy to build, small. So yeah, it's only taken us a couple of days to put the whole thing up, and
Yeah.
train them on what the steps are and everything. So
I think I was struck by seeing you drive that SkyTrack and really, moving everything you need to around the job site. I mean, you didn't have 10 guys like, oh, let's move this panel. You had a great strap system, 1 or 2 guys. You were driving most of the time, but I suspect they'll drive when you're gone. And these wall panels just boop, 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 boop. They've just popped right into place. And every once in a while I'd hear someone go, hey, we need to use the SkyTrack to push this panel or to pull it or leave some weight off so I can tug it. How helpful are those SkyTracks for you in these jobs?
definitely. I mean, you're working with so much weight and big size panels that you have to have a big piece of equipment to maneuver them where you need to be.
Yeah, but no crane though, right?
Not on something like this. I mean, if it was a hard to reach place where you couldn't get the SkyTrack in, then we would probably get a crane to get access.
You're building cliffside and you got a crane and roof panel in place. The SkyTrack's gonna make it.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty awesome. And you've got a bunch of guys like Nathan out there that
We've
you
got
can.
literally a list of guys. They're all they're experts at SIPs, and they know what they're doing. Plus, they know how to do everything else. So some of them just do SIP panels. Some of them will do interior framing. Some of them, it just depends. So call your extreme panel rep, and we can get you hooked up with these guys.
Yeah, I think if you don't get anything from this video, you should get that these guys are really good to work with. I've seen several other SIPs manufacturers that were not nearly as organized, that were not as good to work with, and Perry and his team on the sales side, and then all the guys in the field like Nathan and the builders that I've met that have worked with Extreme Panel, this is really the cream of the crop. And guys like Nathan could actually frame the whole house for you, or could come out and frame and help my framing crew learn the system so they can do it themselves. So there's a lot of flexibility here. With that being said, you got how many more panels left to set?
6.
6 panels, and we're about to break from lunch. How long do you think it'll take us to get those last 6 up?
An hour is going to go a long way, I know.
Let's let these guys get back to work. We'll see you in a bit. Harry, look at the time, dude. 2:30, and we are basically ready to dry in the roof.
Isn't that fun? I mean,
That's crazy.
to have stuff done in that amount of time. So we're literally on day 14. They're finished the 3rd house, and they're gonna start on the 4th one here coming up. I mean, the first one's sheetrock, mudded and taped. The second one's roughed in. I mean,
that's crazy.
This crew is killing it.
They're rocking it, man. And so fun to have Nathan come down, help this crew get up to speed, because this builder wants to continue this momentum and do multiple projects. How about we go take a look at the inside now of this frame? We'll meet you all in there. Check it out, Perry. Look at this.
Isn't it, when you have the lid closed, it's cooler in here already. I mean, it's awesome what the box feels like when you walk in.
It's one big pre-insulated box, right? We're 24 by 56, I think. That's what we said. This will all be within the air-conditioned envelope.
Right.
This envelope will probably end up being certainly below 1 ACH 50 on a blower door. And this crew erected this more or less in 1 or so business days.
Right. And for that crew to literally watch one house, and then it was just repetition.
Yep.
They got it, and it went really, really well.
That's pretty cool.
They have 0 questions anymore. So
and then all this framing they'll do tomorrow. They pre-frame this, but this is all interior non-load bearing walls, right? The load's coming in here on the ridge, on that one from the ridge, on the 2 gables. So everything that's in here is non-load bearing, so it's pretty straightforward to frame.
And think about that box in general. You could do whatever you wanted to do on the inside.
Yeah.
Whatever your floor plan needed to be. You could leave the whole thing open if you wanted to.
That does bring up an interesting thought. This would make an incredible wood shop for somebody.
Sure.
This would be an incredible garage if you're doing
We
mechanic
do all
work.
those types of buildings, huge shops.
Office space,
18, 20,
shop.
16 to 20 foot tall walls, and
Wow.
we do that stuff all the time.
There's a lot of good stuff here. Perry, really appreciate you bringing me out to see this incredible project. Stay tuned. We got another video. We kind of alluded to the fact who the client was here. This is actually an affordable housing project by a really neat local corporation that we're going to do a longer video on. We filmed some of it today, but we got a really cool next video. So that means if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button below. Big thanks to Extreme Panel for sponsoring today's video. We'll put a link to them below, and you can reach out to these guys, to Perry or anyone on this team if you're interested in working with them. Whether it's this type of project or whether it's a awesome luxury custom home, these guys do a little bit of everything. And by the way, they'll be at Build Show Live as well. If you want to talk to them live, bring your plans and talk to them at our show in November in Austin, Texas, 2024. With that being said, we do the ending with me?
Let's do it.
Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time
On the Build Show.